Hello, everyone. Welcome to the, well, it should be fall 2025 AC.
Great start. Great start, y'all.
Oh my God. Starting off with the captain's meeting where I was muted for 7 minutes and now. Oh, great. We got the change. All right.
Let's go. We're
Thanks,
off
everyone.
center now. We're off center. This is worse.
Thanks, everyone, for the start of this ACL. My name is Duwon. Joining me today are our beloved casters Gordo and Quox. They will be guiding us through the whole draw show for ACL. Before they begin and introduce themselves, I'm going to go through the format really quickly. It's going to be 5 teams of 4 groups. You guys will play a single round robin. In that single round robin, after that single round robin, no one is eliminated. The teams will then just go through a super gauntlet, and you can find details of that super gauntlet in the rulebook. 12 teams out of 20 are going to advance into a double elimination bracket. Seeds 8 to 12 will start in the lower bracket. Or seeds 9 to 12, sorry, yes. All right, awesome. I'm very excited to start this split, and I'm sure Gordo and Quox, if you guys want to introduce yourselves, I'm sure they are excited too.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Gordo, longtime ACL caster here. I'll be on most streams, hopefully all streams. We'll see how scheduling works out there. As always, feel free to reach out if you have any comments, concerns, complaints about the broadcast. Always happy to hear what you guys think. We'll also both be on the Salt Mine. We will be our podcast will be covering ACL there as well during the off season. So we'll drop those in ACL content as they drop as frequently as we are able. Wax, anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Quax. I am color caster, or one of the color casters alongside TDS that covers Aegis. And I mean, I'll be on where I can. Not sure what the situation is with that just yet, but love casting ACL every single split. And this looks like the most stacked one yet. So looking forward to it. And yeah, like Gordo said, I'm also on the podcast. So we'll be able to go for opinions. And if you have any suit requests for me, then I'd be happy to send them through and consider them anytime I'm on. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, we are going to start in Pool 5 and move up. So let's get started here. So our Pool 5 teams are, of course, Calamity Esports, Final Boss Chungus, Unction, and Team Evictix. And we are going to start off with Unction here. Quacks, you want to intro Unction? This is probably one you're a little more familiar with.
Yeah, Unction, whose acronym is TT for some reason. I don't know. Maybe there's like one Thunder Talk fan in the chat. It's
PT
Boil
is the
the Oil.
initials of their manager.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's Boil the Oil, GFP, a Frozen Titan, Paragon, and Silver with that team. Obviously, Boil the Oil, GFP, and Frozen Titan have been pretty mainstay here at ACL and have always been able to, I would say, be a fun team to look at, one that usually performs up to par and can put up some really good fights against some of the top echelon teams. Paragon and Silver as well. Silver in particular, I remember covering a couple years back in open qualifiers. So all of these players have a good amount of experience under them and a good amount of synergy with one another, which is something that they could maybe take into the first couple of weeks while teams are still looking to adjust to one another synergistically.
Yeah, this is like a sequel to the last spring Uncle's roster, carrying over most of the same roster. The additions are Titan and Silver. Silver player without too many like ACL level reps as of late, so it'll be fun to see that player come on in. And then Titan, it'll be cool to see after they were having a pretty solid split with Prosperity a couple splits back, and I think they were traveling or something. They had to depart for some reason, and Foles came in to take them on their playoffs run. So Foles is here as well. We'll see him a little bit later, but it'll be cool to see Titan get to play out a full split.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that, I mean, obviously looking at the Pool 5 teams, these are some teams that obviously being at the lower pool, but like I am looking forward to seeing if they can upset anyone. We got the next spin here. All right.
Looks like Final Boss Chungus. This is going real slow for a real big slice of the pie. Final Boss Chungus coming on in. We'll check out their roster in a second. One of the two teams here that is kind of made up of that Foxtrot roster that made a surprise run a couple splits back. A lot of returning faces from spring who weren't here in summer in this pool. Aquanick, still a player I'm a big fan of, has had some really sick individual performances. There's been times where I'm doing some stats reviews for all pro teams, and Aquanick is always way up there in the laning stats. Really great individual performances one-on-one from him. Institutional has made a couple of playoffs in a row. That's Colton in the jungle there. It was with Mint Gaming last split, with Foxtrot again the split before. We've had Flip Tick around and Handy Taco for a couple of different ACLs. Barbo, I think the player that I know the least about. I think this may be their first ACL. Don't attack me if that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm also in a similar boat. I'm probably a little less high on Aquanick stocks than you, Gordo, but these are all players that I think individually have shown what they're capable of, particularly that top side. I think that Flip Tick, Institutional, and Aquanick have all looked really, really good. I think Handy Taco as well has had some good performances. Also, one of the few teams that actually has a meme name. I feel like every single split, we have to have a couple of those right? That just have a really fun logo or just a really fun name. And most of these are professional this time around. So it's nice to see FBC be a
You
little
may
bit
not
on
believe
the
it if you see the draw so far, but yeah.
Yep. You'll
All
see.
right, let's get another one in here. We got Victix and Calamity left. Victix, some newcomers, at least org-wise, and it looks like they're going to be the ones that get pulled here. In a way, kind of a spiritual successor to some teams that we have seen before. GCS Challengers and Ember Foxes, particular Red Sword, played with some of those surprise upset Ember Foxes teams. Nostalgia was also around with those teams and was a sub on those teams. Jade Nice Meme was on Jade Niceem, rather, was on GCS Challengers as well. Z Score came through with some of those zero animosity lineups that had themselves some nice runs in OQs and some nice runs in ACLs as well. And I know Spartan One has been around the scene, but another player I think in that same kind of category as the previously mentioned Silver, where while they've been around kind of the comp scene, I do believe this is their first ACL. I don't think we've had Spartan before.
Yeah, I don't recognize the name either. I also will say, I think it's kind of cool that like Zero Animosity were one of the big surprises for me in the last Open qualifier, and it's cool to see that essentially all of the players from that summer qualifier earlier this year, I believe it was like Albino, Aeon, Retrozing, Z Score, and I'm forgetting the 80 carry, but most of them are here. So it's cool that they are all present because I think like similar to what we said about FBC, like these are all really good individual talents.
Yeah. Also, a purple skeleton team. Shout out to Norm for bringing that up. You know, there always needs to be one purple skeleton team in the NA amateur scene, and after
Yep.
Nightmare didn't work out last year, it's good to have Victix getting involved. Always want a purple skeleton team somewhere.
Yep. It was Fear. It was Fear. It was Nightmare, and now it's Victix.
All right, let's pull it. Let's spin a circle. That's just Calamity. Oh, we're not spinning the circle. All right.
Nope.
Trey Dog, Lil Pistol, Lonnie, Draven Baka slash Smalls, and PVS. So shout out, friend of the stream, PVS, longtime Asia's producer. Always gotta give him a shout out. Trey Dog and Lonnie been playing together for a while on a lot of these Calamity esports teams. Smalls was also on that Foxtrot lineup. Like I said, they're really loaded up in this pool this time around, and they were able to make it pretty far for their seed last time around. So that gives me hope for Pool 5 across the board. I think Smalls and PVS will be a real interesting lane. Lil Pistol was also on that GCS Challengers team, if I am not mistaken. So everybody here experienced. Everybody here had some nice runs. Trey Dog and Lonnie with Calamity back in spring were able to make top 16. So yeah, I mean it's a stacked ACL all around. Everybody all the way down to Pool 5 feels like they have at least upset potential, which is awesome.
And I think it's really cool for Trey Dog and Lonnie, depending on the performance here by Calamity, because I mean they've been around the organization since forever. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm pretty sure they have only been with Calamity whenever they have participated. So yeah, I mean I'm hoping that this is like the Calamity season because I do think they're a really persistent organization. And yeah, PBS a big fan of the stream, so I'm a big fan of PBS.
All right. Let's get into Pool 4. So Pool 4 is Deathmark Esport, ULAC Conviction, St. Clair, Saints, and Gravity. Gravity looking real large in the font on this one. Looks like we are... Ooh, it might be St. Clair.
Nope.
But it is YLC. This is where the rest of that Zero Animosity lineup has ended up.
And I'm pretty sure that's the Mega Knight from... Do you play Clash Royale, Gordo?
I don't, but I also did think this was from Clash Royale. I was afraid to say it for making myself look like a boomer. But yes, this is the rest of that squad. It's Albino Spino. That's Eon Crystal in the jungle. That is Leica Moss in mid. I know who Love Mango is. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. It's Biostir, okay, who is a sub on that Papa's Chunks roster and has had some nice runs before as well. And Inflame, a support player that I'm pretty excited for. So a lot of names who I think are kind of like rising up in stocks lately. I think.
Oh yeah,
players who have had some real good 2025s, even if a little bit under under the radar. Not the least of which Ian Crystal, who's killing it over in the Saito combine right
Saito,
now.
yep. Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to mention Saito. Damn it. But other than Aeon, I think that I've also been like a really big believer of Lycamaz. This has been a player that I think individually has always looked great, specifically in the laning phase. Has a lot more fire to him and is a lot more aggressive, looks for a lot more proactive plays. So I do think that combined with Aeon, who is also, at least in my definition, a proactive jungler, like this is where I'm looking at the team to really push forward. So yeah, I like the mid jungle combo here here for ULAC Conviction. I think Albino is also kind of a rising top laner. I don't have a huge opinion on Biostir and Inflame. I know that Inflame has been around Aegis for a good while now, but I do think that this combination, we're just going to have to see what happens on the screen, really, at least for me, before I form like a concrete opinion.
Yeah, I'm fully like a moss pilled after that run with dog fans at the
Oh
beginning
yeah,
of this
me
year.
too. Oh yeah.
This
How
guy's
can
like
you
a
not
top.
be?
This guy's a top tier 3 mid. Is so yeah, very excited to see how he's going to be able to jive with this squad. And if if he and Eon Crystal can jive, I actually think this could be like a big upset contender.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely agree. All right, let's see which pool 4 team we got next.
This one will be joining final boss Chungus, of course. Be looking like it's gonna be Gravity.
Right. Yeah. So Gravity, the organization that I would say was the really big surprise last split. For those of you who didn't watch Summer, Gravity were basically a giant dark horse. And I do think that they keep some of that energy going forward here in fall. Obviously, they have a bit of a new roster from what we saw in Summer, that being gosh, Gordo, remind me that the top laner's name is not what it appears. It's different.
No, it's Arbrio. Yeah, this
Yep.
this team gets the award between top and support for being the stealthiest. Top laner is Arbrio, and bot lane or support is Redemption. These guys do not have their real tags
Mid
as
is
either
Zebra
their
as
account
well.
name or their Discord name. So shout out to them for making it difficult for everybody else on the seating committee. This is why I have a pinned post about who all these people are. Verdict, Sir Zipri, and Josu all coming on up here as well. Sir Zipri stock's a little bit up there now after his crazy run with UHSP last season.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like Gravity have always been like a dark horse team, and these are players that are definitely on the come up. Whenever I think of Arbrio, I think about that sub performance that he had on what was it, Grompcord or something? It was some like very middle of the pack team where he ended up just having an absolute Smurf performance. I think we covered that one.
I'm sorry,
Arbrio.
Yes, yeah, I think it was Grompcord. I always confuse. Yeah, I mean, like we got the whole next generation of top laners here. Fiji at the top of that run right now as a player that's really broken out over the last year. But Karshiak, Arbrio, and Faj all in the ACL this split as well, and all young top laners. This is our new generation as we lose the last generation up to pro/retirement over the course of this last year. So very excited for top lane this ACL in general.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, for me, just last note on Gravity, my Josu stonks went up significantly from like this because of the Summer Open qualifiers and then just Summer Split. So I'm really excited to see one of my most anticipated, at least tier 380 carries, be paired up with Redemption, who, if you've been keeping up, he should also be like on your radar for like a top up and coming support. So these are two players that are very similar in their trajectory now meeting, and I do think if they can gel together nicely, that dark horse energy will definitely hit again here in fall.
Yeah, I saw Josu at LTA finals. He gave me a Blue Otter pin, so he's got a little bias going for him right now.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
No. All right, let's get somebody in Ionia here along with Evictix. Seeing if it's going to be Deathmark or the Sealall team. Deathmark on the come up. Roster been getting stronger and stronger every split that they compete in ACL. They're on 3 in a row so far. This is their newest and greatest team so far. It's Karshiak, BB, Repi, Sagewabe, and All Calamity from top to bottom. And there's another one of those top laners that I'm really high on. Very excited. See Karshiak here. I think BB's put together some really awesome performances. He was killing it on that AMI roster last split up until Low Jazz came back. So man got mogged by Low Jazz a little bit, unlucky. But yeah, Reppy, Sagewabe, and All Calamity also all names and faces we've seen around the scene before. All Calamity, one of the big up and coming supports right now.
Yes.
And yeah, love this whole team. Actually, I think it's crazy to have a team like this in Pool 4. It feels like this is traditionally
Yeah, no, this feels
like
criminal.
at least a Pool 3 team.
No, I mean Reppy is a mid laner that I've always liked. I think back to my first CLO experience being casting Northwood. Gosh, I can't find my words. And Reppy was a part of that, and I absolutely loved casting a bunch of those series. So really looking forward to seeing what this team can do. I'm also really high on All Calamity. It's funny too because I think that Asage, for a lot of the teams that he's been on over the past few months, he's been like one of the more experienced players. I think this time he'll be joined alongside Reppy, who obviously has that experience under his belt. But Sage, I think, has really grown into almost like a backline threat, or like a like someone who takes a backseat when it comes to carrying, but still has the potential to actually carry. So I think Sage has really had that moment to be more of a veteran on the team over the past few months. And so I'm curious to see what that experience brings to a team who has a lot of X factors, right? Like I think BB and Reppy are definitely two players that have a ton of upside. And it's just going to be on, I think, both Saga and All Calamity, who are very consistent, to make sure that they get the best out of them in each of those matches in series.
We've played together a lot too. I also think this is the first. I think this is the first Deathmark team that isn't primarily French Canadian. Apologies if I'm wrong there. I don't know that matters, but it's an interesting note. They're branching out. They're becoming more generically North American, which I don't know. You love to see it. I love to see it at least. Need more orgs, just coming out, putting together great teams. So shout out to Deathmark. Been a big fan of them over the last couple of splits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to it. I think, again, this is a team that on paper, the fact that they're in Pool 4 should just show you guys what exactly we've got in store for the rest of these teams. It's pretty stacked.
Yep. Let's get St. Clair up on the circle. No, we're not going to spin the circle. All right. It's the classic St. Clair team. You've probably grown familiar with these guys over the course of the last couple of splits. It's Ricky, Maddie, Flocon, Lig, and Fize. Fize, the newest face, joining up on this team. They've kind of revamped their bot lane as of late. Ricky still rounding out his collegiate experience here, and been really big fans of Maddie made an ACL final earlier this year.
Yeah.
So him coming back with his collegiate team, I mean, he gives some real firepower over to this squad.
No, I mean, a lot of people, I think, have this was a big discussion that I had with a couple of other people on the seating committee about Maddie's current level. And I'm really high on this guy. Like, I think Maddie is a consistently aggressive player. And of course, there are times where that aggression can cost the team a couple of angles in the early game. And so they'll start the game behind. But I do think that that's really when Lig shines. I think that Lig can put on like hero plays a lot of the time. So I'm looking forward to seeing both Maddie, Lig, and Flocon as well. I think Flocon, we were just talking about Reppy, and I kind of have Reppy and Flocon grouped together as these like very X factor mids that are going aggressive in the laning phase, picking more front-loaded damage champions. Like the Akali is something that I associate with both of them, and something that I think they both are capable of playing. So, I'm kind of in a similar opinion about these guys as I was with DME, but I just think it'd be great to see these guys play together if they can both make it toward the playoffs, or play against one another if they can make the playoffs.
Yeah. And last I've seen in again D1 and stuff, St. Clair's still been playing with Miracle. So I don't know if it's scheduling or if he's splitting time with Fize or what the deal is there. But cool to see Fize back in the lineup. I mean, he was playing with St. Clair years ago now, in their like 2021 to 22 CLOL run.
Oh, that was before my time. I have no memory of that.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't really remember it either, but it's on the wiki. So Cool to have him back with the lineup too, and wonder if he'll be splitting time with Miracle or what the deal will be there. But it's definitely not the first time that St. Clair has done timeshares either, so it'll be cool to see them.
Mhm. All right, pool number 3 now. So we're really starting to get up there. This one has Kiwi Gang, Respawn, CCG, and Weber State. So all organizations that you should be familiar with, all ones that made a splash here in 2025. And CCG going to be the first one that rounds out our pool 3 teams. And you may notice that this team has a bit of a different look than what we're used to, Gordo.
Yeah, definitely. So, Steps, Sky, and Virus FX, for any who don't know, are from the Infinity roster. They played in the
Yes.
LRN back in spring. I believe that is I know that they left the league. The team, the org, left the league. I believe they are the ones who sold their spot for that crazy Estral team that ended up making the promo tournament. So unfortunate for these guys who were really on a run there. I know Sky and Virus FX ended up on the SDMT Grace team that still made promo tournaments. So,
Yep.
some promo tournament competitors here. They are joined by North Americans, Clarice, and Fiji. Fiji in particular, a player that I have my eye on this CCG lineup. CCG, and I say this without any insider information, an org that has historically used ACL to kind of scout out their team for next year.
Yes.
We know that Crimson has gone over to Maryville, so I'm going to take a wild guess that he's going to play with them next year. So they may be in the market for a top laner, and maybe they're looking at Fiji to be that guy. So, yeah, that's something I'm definitely taking a look at for how this CCG team develops. Maybe they're just trying to get a little bit more Latin American in general as they bring in these 3. So shout out to these guys for joining up with ACL for this split. I believe they'll be playing from Mexico. The ping's not too bad from there, so very excited to get more international talent here into ACL.
I think ping is probably one of the big reasons why people put them in C3, if I'm not mistaken. But this team has a ton of upside. Like, I think that Steps in particular, I was getting some whispers from the grapevine here and there around NACL, and some teams were considering him. So that should tell you a lot. Like, this guy clearly has a lot of potential in the jungle. And if you look at the solo queue ladder, I believe Steps is really high up there, right? I don't know if he's still top 10, but I know that he has breached top 10 on the North American server. So that's what I say to your ping. If one of those players can make it that high in the North American ladder, then who's to say not all of them are just, capable of being really good? I think putting them in pool 3, at least in my opinion, one of the few L's of the seeding committee.
This is a stacked group. Yeah, I mean, like CCG end up with a seed of 3.0. So, and part of it is just all these groups are going to end up stacked to some degree or another. But, you can make a strong case for like you like Conviction and Unction for being, at least some of the most experienced teams here, if not the highest, LP peaking teams and not the highest seeded. So I think, if the cards land right, this might be a crazy group of death. I think PVS might have called it from minute 1.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So far, Demacia is shaping up to be really, really strong. But let's move on to Noxus, the split 1 ugly yellow-looking map of 2025 now looks like Weber State. We're going to get some purple into the Noxus group. So Weber, I mean, you know him, you love him, right? This is a roster with Batao, Yu, Goku, Sendi, and Mystiquez. That's who you see in the support role. So they got the band back together. This is an org that I think a lot of people put them high because we're seeing a ton of improvement from them year after year, but also because of that synergy, right? We talked about this a little bit when we were mentioning like Unction, like a strength of that team. And I feel like that is a strength of this team and a lot of the Seawolf teams, honestly. Like St. Clair, I think also have that. But Goku and Sendi and Yu, I think, have all looked really, really good in the last split. Like, I was really impressed with Yu and Goku's mid-jungle synergy. I think they're probably one of the best in like pool 3 and probably better than some pool 2 teams in that regard. So I think this is a org that still has, or program rather, that still has a ton of crazy upside and continues to improve.
Yeah, really cool to see. Goku, the BR goat himself, former CB Low player, has been awesome. Gone making fun of you for saying org, uh, college, school, program,
Hmm.
whatever word you prefer. Yeah, but player coach Mystiquez, former LEC pro. For those who remember, he also played on Evil Geniuses Academy for a little bit. He's also coached for a while. Um, he There's like a tradition now with this Weber State team that every year they come in with Mystiquez as the listed support, and then some new support comes in and does really well, and then gets picked
Yeah.
up by a different team. So it was only 35 like a year ago, and then just last split it was Bounty, who is also both of those players are in here on other teams that are higher
Yep.
seeded than Weber State. So unlucky stuff for Weber there. But it's crazy that on a team with guys like Goku and Mystiquez, that the real kind of breakout star that everybody looks at right now is I think U13. I think he's
Yeah.
really really hype right now, and looking for him to have another really strong performance.
Yeah. As a jungler, I always like the carries, but I feel like everything that
Patau's
we've said
Mundo
about.
is freaking scary too. By the
Yeah,
way, like,
true,
that
true,
guy's
true.
Mundo's
Patau on
insane.
tanks is a beast right now, and Riot won't nerf Scion, so maybe some leaked draft plans there. But I mean, everything that I feel like we've said about Weber, we've said before. Like this again has been a program that has stuck to their guns for a really long time. So I think that's all we really have to say. If we can move on to the Ionian group, and who will be joining them here from pool number 3. It is going to be Kiwi Gang. All right.
Kiwi Gang. So this is. Oh, go ahead. You start.
No, go ahead. Nope, you got it.
Yeah, so this is the traditional not Winthrop University team. They were called Papa's Chonks last split. There are some more substantial changes this time around. They do have Wilson slash Wakao slash Trickster playing bot lane. That was the original plan for the Papa's Chonks team last split. Didn't work out that way. We'll see if it sticks that way this time. Their longtime support only 35, and their former slash backup longtime mid Papa coming in mid lane. They're joined. This is Faj up in the top lane, and
Yep.
Kitarukin in jungle, as they've kind of made some last minute swaps around. I do believe this is the Kitarukin who played in TR for a long time, and has played in around some of the ERLs for a while. If
Mhm.
anybody knows that to be false, feel free to let me know. Mobility is on the bench, so we'll see if he comes in from time to time. But so far, I think an underrated team, even with the changes. I think Faj has looked really, really good to me in the past. He's another Riven player. We have a long tradition of Riven players doing real well in
Mhm.
NA Tier 3. I think Papa's mad underrated. This guy's still got it. He looked great last split with Papa's Chonks. So I don't really have any concerns there. I'm very excited to see how this team's going to be able to perform.
Yeah, I think that this team has a good amount of
I know Trickster's AD
consistency.
carry.
Right.
don't, I
I
said
think
that.
this team has players that are good at being consistent, but I could also see this team having a lot of struggles. Like obviously you've got only 35 and Wakao and Papa who played together basically last split, right? But I do think that like I don't know, like something about this team just makes me feel like there could be some struggles. I'm not saying there will be, but I do think that there is a possibility um, that it isn't on paper um, for them. We'll see though. I trying not to be like negative about it because I haven't been negative about a lot of these teams, but I do have some worries. I think is what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. Though I do have to also mention that I'm a big only 35 enjoyer. So any team that he's on, I'm a fan of.
This dude every game on stream where they win, we need an only 35 interview. This guy's hilarious.
Yes,
So
he's
yeah, got to get that guy on stream as much as you possibly can. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Jungle can play a little 80 carry as a treat. The Dorado homies in the chat understand that. So
yeah.
with that, let's draw our final team into our final group, joining Calamity and St. Clair. It's Respawned. Geiger, Castle, Samikin, Nightstar, and Mixture feels like an old school Dorado team somewhat, with Geiger Castle Nightstar, but joined by Samikin, who is freshly, way back up on everyone's tier lists after popping off in summer, just like last year. Shout out to Blue Otter there. And Mixture I still think is sick and putting a little bit of modern Dorado flavor into an old Dorado style team.
This is a bot side that I'm really excited for. Like, I've always been a big fan of Samikin and his style of play. You were talking about Aeon and his success in the Cyto Combine. Samikin has been demolishing people in the Cyto Combine. Every time I've watched him, it's been like 3 or 4 mid lane bans headed his way. And he's still managing to pop off. So I think this guy is like,
correct.
Yeah, he's an absolute maniac monster, crazy person that I think will be a top mid here. I don't know what to expect holistically about Respawn. Obviously, Respawn are still somewhat a newer organization, right? They're spearheaded by Doc Respawn, who, big fan of him. Got to cover them in the, I believe it was the spring open qualifier alongside Ferris. They made it pretty far, but I do believe they got knocked out by Near Airport. So I do think that this is an org coming back, trying to put a really impressive performance on the board, and they certainly have an organization to do so. I am a little bit questioning Geiger and Castle, though. I think both Geiger and Castle are good, but I do think that we haven't seen them necessarily at that really top tier level. And I think that if there was a bot side to elevate them to there, it would be these players.
Yeah, I think they should flashes on those old Dorado teams, like the ones that had like who was it? It was I had it on the tip of my tongue for a moment and I've lost it now, but it'll hit me in a second. But I think that lineup had made some solid runs, both in OQs in the old OQ format and in ACL as well. Aj was their mid laner. I remember that was kind of Aj's big pop off split, so it was definitely a really exciting team at that time. And I think Geiger and Castle showed some really strong flashes there. This is definitely a very strong team with them. For them, I think rounding the squad out with Samikin and Mixture, really exciting stuff. I'm like, I get flashes of like Samikin fanboys. Like before Samikin made NACL, he played, with some lineups that were just kind of him and the homies, and they did well. So I'm hoping.
No, I mean Samikin is part of the he's part of the VTuber trio.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, Cupid's playing in an NACL promotion tournament. BDD just had a sick Zoe game last night. It's Samikin season. It's Samikin meta, baby.
Yeah, Samikin. There's not enough good things I can say about this player. Like this guy, I could spend the entire stream glazing him, but I'll save everybody the trouble.
All right, Pool 2. Pool 2. So this one is Apex Mission Impossible, Dorado Gaming Black, Peach Cats, and Cupid Esports.
Yeah.
Really getting up into NACL promotion territory here. And we're going to start with a squad that is very, very reminiscent of previous Ole Miss teams that have made very deep runs in ACL. This is Stray. Shan Bao Wei is a.k.a. Griffin, FKA Wiggly, former coach and CLG player. That's Asila in the mid lane, Array, and then their new addition, Obstinatus, from, again, the ERLs. I don't remember which exact.
Super cool name, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah, it just Obstinatus, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but just looking at it, I can tell it's got a cool pronunciation.
It's a sick name, for sure.
Honestly, Gordo, as the jungler in the call and like the resident jungler caster, I always enjoy glazing the junglers of this team. But I got to be honest with you, Wiggly, Griffin, whatever you want to call him, way before my time. So I actually don't have a ton of information on this player, though everyone I've talked to has said that this guy is an absolute freak beast monster. So
he's crazy.
I'm looking forward to seeing him live up to the hype. And then obviously you've got Asila, Stray, and Array. Stray and Asila on that Ole Miss program that we haven't seen this split, who are both really good in my opinion. I think that Stray in particular has like a lot of different angles that he can go for. A lot of people like to, because he's on a team with Shogo, a lot of people like to say that he's like a weak sider, but we've seen him get resources before and make the most use of those resources. I think when Ambessa came out, Astray was one of the best Ambessas that I got to witness. So I think that he's perfectly good to play around if need be on more aggressive top laners, such as the Ambessa, such as the Aatrox. And then I think Asila, too, when giving gold, can really be a big carry player on the board. So Array as well can do that. So realistically, all of these players can be deadly with gold in their hands. And so that really leaves me wondering what the team dynamic is going to be like. Who's going to be the perennial weak sider? Who's going to be the person that's kind of ignored in the laning phase? And what exactly are the quote unquote jobs of this team? And again, what that dynamic is going to be like is my biggest question mark about these guys.
Yeah, probably the most recent Shanbao Wei Griffin showing in like NA tier 3 comp was he was part of that he's part of that Friendly Fellas team that very nearly made an ACL. They were playing against Near Airport for a spot at one point. Didn't quite make it, but that was the team with like Moose Hater and Wixie and Tyson and Dunn. So very excited to see him back. He did very well in that run, and that was about 1 calendar year ago, a little bit less than that, and has been coaching Dorado since then. So very excited to see him play.
I am excited as well. As all right, let's see who the Pool 2 Noxian is here for the ACL. Like it will be Dorado Gaming Black. So you can see that Dorado Gaming has a name next to it, you know, maybe alluding to possibly another team being here for the ACL. But yeah, this one's got Cozy Munchie is the jungler, Shochi Dapshin, and Kim Down. And I haven't seen a ton of Cozy for a really long time. So you were talking about the top lane, Gordo, and how stacked it is this split, but I do think Cozy really contributes to that.
Yeah, I think Cozy is really cracked when he decides to play on like some of the more stacked teams. He kind of alternates between playing with the homies and playing with like really high stacked contending rosters.
Yeah.
So very good to see him again. He was playing with some of those Galaxy Gaming teams. I think the last we saw of him, and doing pretty well in some of the OQs there. Also was on AOE Esports in the last ACL fall, who were top 6. That was that team with Will and Ariandel and Mobility and Breezy. So very excited to have him back. Love to have Shochi back in the ACL as always. Also saw this man at LTA finals, so I have some bias there as well. Dapshin having made the move over to bot lane has been an interesting one over the last split or so. Has looked good before, and I'm very curious to see how he does with Kim Down, who's been playing with a lot of different ADs since coming back over to tier 3, and has looked from good to great over time. So we'll see which one we get this time around.
No, I mean, my biggest curiosity though is about that bot lane, right? Because I have every bit of confidence that this top side can really perform, but Dapshin to me has always been a player that's really interesting, right? Because he is capable of playing these. When he was a support, he was playing some really off meta supports. Like I remember on I think it was Dragoon's Goons, he played like Ornn. And then he played like a Mumu. He was playing all of these champions that were just not really. No, he played 3 games of Orange support. So this guy clearly knows ball and loves going a little bit more unorthodox whenever he gets the opportunity. And so I do think that if they can make use of that trait that Dapshin has, this can be a team that throws multiple curveballs at you in draft. Combine that with Munchie, who in of himself loves to just play some of the more, or I should say lesser picked junglers, such as like the Zed jungle I remember seeing from him recently. Like this is a team that could be very fun to look at in the draft phases.
Yeah, and with that Sin Eternal season team was the last we saw of Dapshin 80 carry, and they were able to do very well and punch above their weight. I think a little bit. Munchie was on that team as well, and with top lane 101 as a rookie, and Daption role swapping over. I think it was an overperformance given where I think a lot of people had them seated. So
Oh, yeah.
very good to see them back.
All right, let's get into who will be joining the other teams in Ionia right now. And we have Cupid. All right, so Cupid Esports. Remind me if you've seen this team before, Gordo. We've got Dr. Calculus, Bio, Adam, Enthralled, and Tub. Wait, that can't
I actually
be right.
haven't seen this team before because I haven't had Enthralled on it
That
before.
can't be right.
But welcome back, Enthralled, from the LRN, another LRN rep joining us up here. I guess I should have said this about Asyla as well. So sorry, Asyla, kind of snubbed you on the LRN territory, but we're getting our players back. Fingers crossed, Griffin and Yukino are next. But it's great to have.
If only, man. If only.
Great to have him joining up on this squad. That's a real established, Cupid Esports team now. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like, these guys must have loved playing together because they've had some high highs and some low lows as far as like the situations that they've been put in without their own control. But they keep running it back, and they keep getting better and better. So
Yeah.
they were an inch away from promoting to NACL last time around. I know Hub has hung up the cleats for now. At least that's what I've heard.
Which sucks, by the way, because I think a lot of people loved Hub watching him play with Tub, if not just for the rhymes in of themselves. I'm not saying Enthralled is like a downgrade or anything. In fact, I think Enthralled is a really good AD carry, right? He's also in the Cyto Combine. And this is a player that I think has really grown in terms of what we expect from him in terms of style. I remember Enthralled when he was just starting out, like this was like the Senna Ezreal guy. He would weak side and scale and would basically explode onto the Rift after 20 minutes. But I think he's really improved his laning phase a lot. And that was the biggest concern for a lot of these players. Like, I think that when they were Pulse, right, a lot of people said that their laning phase, it was just not as airtight as the other teams in NACL, and that's probably why they weren't able to pick up those wins against some of those lower tier teams. But I think they've improved on that. I think that every time we see this team, Gordo, they get somewhat just a little bit better. And so I'm excited to see them as a Pool 2 team. I think they definitely deserve it.
Yeah. If Tub renames to something that it rhymes with Enthralled, by the way, he'll be my goat. He'll be NA Pumandu then.
Stalled, Brawled, Mauled, something like that.
Yeah. Any of those works. All right. That means Twilight gets our last remaining Pool 2 team, which is AMI. Oh boy.
The other promotion team. Yep.
Yeah, well, the one that made it. Yeah, the one that beat Cupid to promote up. So, I think they get themselves some credit right off the bat there as a potentially harder draw. They're running their full team. It's Decoy, Lojaz, Retrozing, Baz, and Protos. Focus coming in as coach / sub. And I've been really impressed with this team. I mean, I keep hammering this narrative, right? I was saying it on the broadcast after they promoted, but I really like how Pocus has kind of moneyballed himself, this team here, since he's moved over to coach from player. He gave us a really good interview at the beginning of the last ACL where he talked about, wanting to pick up some players that he felt were undervalued, that hadn't really been given a good shot in Retrozing and Protos, and somewhat BB as well, as he was still on the team at that time. And, I think results showed, kind of proved him right here, right? They made it back to NACL with this team in pretty dominant fashion. I think they were looking like the best team in Tier 3 for the majority of that tournament. They had themselves a nice easy cruise through, and then were able to take down everybody that showed up to face them other than CCG. And now here they are. They're a full-fledged NACL team, and they're going to try to improve on their last ACL performance.
Yeah, this has been the organization, the team, the band of brothers, if you will, because they've, similar to what we said about Cupid, who has stuck around for a long time, like the core of this team has stuck around for, I think, even longer. Like, right? Like they've been together for a real long time. So I think it's super cool that they're back, and finally kind of making that leap, right? I think similar to what we said about Cupid, they've definitely improved as the year has gone by, and I think are definitively an NACL team. So I'm looking forward to seeing what caliber of NACL team they will be going into 2026. But ACL will help them improve that. So I'm really, and of course, every time I see AMI, gotta shout out the Church of Low Jazz. Shibby is the Pope. I'm the Archdeacon. Any members want to join? There's an application. Just hit me up in DMs.
Very nice, very nice. Props to Lojaz for having his real name as his IG on this split, by the way. I don't know
Yes,
how long that's gonna
please.
last, but you gotta praise them when they do it, right? That's that's making friends and influencing people 101. You give positive feedback when people do what you want.
All right. Now we got the real deal.
Take
Gordo.
notes, Redemption and Arbrio, by the way.
All right, the tier 1 teams here, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, all names you should be familiar with: Conviction, Dorado Gaming White, Milk Esports, and Maryville University. Big surprise. I was shocked when I saw their name on the applications as all right, we're going right out of the gate. A lot of people in the chat have been calling Demacia the group of death, and maybe for all the fighting, they need some milk in between the games. Is Milk Esports going to be the team that rounds out the Demacians? Hoarder, Kisno, Fimony, Levitate, and Manui, Gordo.
Yeah, so I mean, these guys are, de facto our reigning champions. Run it back with Kisno, Fimony, Levitate, Manui, Hoarder joining up with the team. So very, very exciting to have them back. The formerly whole milk, now the only milk in contention. And will be quite a joy to see them try to run it back and defend their title. We have yet to have anybody successfully defend an ACL
nope,
title.
We've got no T1s. Yep.
Yeah,
no T1s.
Nobody has ever defended an ACL title. Many have tried. Mirage Alliance tried once upon a time. Citadel's tried, but has not been successfully done. Milk going to try to become the first here.
And for those of you confused, you may see Kisno in the jungle, but then Kisno is also in the support role, or not the support role, the sub role. That's Sajed being annoying. So
on the sub list, yes, that is Sajed.
Yes, that is Sajed being extremely annoying. I actually fell for this in a Cytocast recently where we had DZ Kisno in 80 carry, and my producer was like, all right, Kisno is auto-filled for ADC, and he was like popping off both games. I was like, wow, Kisno is a really good 80 carry. And then only after we were done did I realize, oh shit, that's Sajed. So yeah, don't fall for it like I did.
A true Wilson City Witty after my own heart.
Oh my god, Sajed, we need to boil you, bro.
All right. Well, Milk joining up with a really tough Demacia group. All in all, first of all,
yeah, okay. This is a group. This certainly is.
Find. Yeah, I think. Tough for Unction and ULAC Conviction. I guess I'll say this, but also though maybe not. There's a big question. Maybe. I think one of the more controversial things on the seating committee this split is where to put CCG. It is in our nature as North Americans to disrespect the LRN. And so I'm very curious to see how this CCG team performs. And I think this will be a very interesting test, right? Can they? Yeah. I think, baseline by where they end up in seeding, I think the general public opinion would be that they should be distinctly third, right? They should clear ULAC Conviction and Unction, and they should struggle against most of Ole Miss and this reigning champion Milk team.
I don't know, man. I think CCG and Peach Cats is closer than you're making it out to be.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like I think there's people who will argue that, and then I think there's people who will also argue that LRN sucks and they'll be below these 4th and 5th seed teams. So I think it's going to be a very interesting litmus test, given that we haven't gotten these players in this scene much at all, and the only time they really get to show up is when they play with SDMT Grace and have to play against the very best NACL teams. And I don't think that's a fair comparison, or like when we did that cross conference international last year that we were promised this year and didn't happen. So
Yeah.
the fact that we don't get to see these kind of matchups very often makes me very happy that we get a group like this.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go on to Noxus group on who the last team will be. I swear, if it's Dorado and we have to cast Dorado versus Dorado, there will be violence. Okay, God bless. All right, so it is Conviction. I would say this team might be like a big title contender. This is the team that I am probably the highest on personally. So it is Tenacity, Kryra is Spider-Man, Young Meech is Line, and Zyko. Gordo, explain to me how this team isn't going to get like top 3.
Oh, I mean that's a tough ask that I will not super frequently be doing, as I do think that this team is super cracked. I think like Kryra is one of the top prospects in this region, if not the top prospect.
Yeah,
in this
period.
region.
Not
Like,
just even in jungle.
He is,
just,
yeah. My dude has never started a split of NACL, and he is like so clearly top of the table in that league. Surely this is the split where somebody starts Kryra. Yes, like, this is
yes,
it has somehow
please.
never happened, but surely he's going to get to play week 1 this year. And he is just absolutely insane. Meech, we've been hearing whisperings of his return for a while. Very excited to have him back. Yeah, definitely a player that I've been a big fan of for a very long time. Coming back down from LCS, where he played with 100 Thieves for a little while. I think he didn't get too fair of a shake there, and
No,
he
absolutely
has
not.
always been very good at the tier 3 and tier 2 level. Even looking back to like Mirage Esports Electronique and those CLG Academy teams. Very cool to see Zyko outside of Maryville again. I think he's also a player that I would like to see more of, and that I have a very high opinion of. Tenacity, always fun to have back in the scene, has made himself some deep runs with Young in the past, and all these players, ones who have done excellently in ACL every time we've had them here. So I'm very excited for this team, and yeah, really hard to make a case for them to not be top of the table.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm right there with you about Kryra. Like, I think this is probably a future LCS player if he keeps improving at the rate that he
Yeah.
is doing. So,
I mean, if he's not, our scene is really dead.
yeah, our scene is just cooked, bro. I'm gonna like be completely honest with you though. Like, I think that Conviction, like this is an organization that over the past year has obviously been really successful, right? Like they opened up after Tempest kind of became Conviction. They really entered the game swinging, and I believe got third in their first split. And then they proceeded to go to the promotion tournament. So like as far as first years go, I think that Conviction did about as good as you possibly can. So I think that speaks a lot to the caliber and the capability to the org outside of the players, and also to the staff who's like scouting these people. Which is why I'm partially hoping that this is like the team that we see from them in like 2026 or something like that, because I think that this is like a legitimately strong NACL team. And so hopefully similar to what you were saying about CCG and like scouting talent via ACL, Conviction are doing the same.
Yep. All in all, Noxus group in review. I think Conviction.
A lot of purple in the Noxus group.
A lot of purple in the Noxus group. I think Conviction find themselves pretty firmly on top. It'll be very. I would be very surprised to see them have much difficulty in this group. I mean, I think that could have been said for a lot of groups, but I think Dorado Black, maybe one of the preferred tier 2 seeds if you are looking for a really solid Conviction run. Weber similarly for the tier 3 teams. I think there's a world where they yank like an AMI and a Kiwi gang or something, and then it's I think it's a lot more up in the air, where if the right players pop off at the right time, you can see some more upsets. Tough group draw for the Weber and down of this group, but I could see Gravity punching above their weight class a little bit, challenging Weber. Final boss Chungus, best of luck, guys. But it's a great group that I think will definitely produce some very exciting matches in the middle of the table. For
Yeah, I agree. As all right, we got 2 teams left, and I think it is So it is Dorado and it is Maryville. Right, it is Maryville. So Maryville University, similar to Conviction, are rocking a different look than what I would imagine most of you are used to. As I believe we had Zamudo move on to greener pastures over in the LTA, now called LCS, by the way, in case you live under a rock and haven't heard. Same goes for Yuji. I believe Spyrax he's a sub, but I'm not sure if he graduated. And
he's
then
close to it, if not already
yeah,
there.
yeah. Zyko graduated for sure, and he's on Conviction. And then they got Scary Jerry back here in the 80 carry role. So the rest of the team, what do they look like? It's Crimson, Music, Toasty, and Cryogen. So all players that have been like on the talk list for a lot of people as far as like future talent goes, now put under the banner of a organization famous for taking players to that next level, which makes me really excited because it seems like these guys all being super duper young, this is like a multi-year plan from MU. And that makes me really, really looking forward to not only what this team is capable of in this ACL, but just anything that they participate in, right? Because if this is the roster that they're going for, these are players that already have experience and, 4 potentially years of guidance from the MU program could do a lot in terms of these guys and getting to that next level like their predecessors have before them.
Yeah, this is one of the more like optimistic, I think, things going on in North America. League of Legends right now is 3 players under 20 starting collegiate on Maryville as kind of a rebuild of their roster.
Yep.
Um, in Crimson, Toasty, and Cryogen. I think great futures for all these guys, and already, coming out of the gate as I think one of the favorites for this ACL. Awesome to have Maryville here at all, by the way. They ran their B team back a couple ACLs ago, but we've never had their main squad joining us. So very, very happy to have them here to kind of debut their new team outside of Division One, where they've also been playing. And I mean, really cool for Scary Jerry, right? To now be like the longest tenured member of this starting roster, right? Uh, very, very cool to have him here. Looking at their subs as well. I mean, they have Shimmer. Shimmer may end up playing some games as they have been kind of splitting some time between him and Music over the last couple of splits. You mentioned Spyrax K, who was playing top lane for them in this last NACL split, and that is Niles. Fingers crossed we might get a Niles out of retirement.
That would be awesome.
Sometime this split. I'm going to see if you can make that happen for us, Niles. That would be a bunch of fun.
All right. We got one more team left here, and it is from an organization that we have already talked about. The guy rounding out the Twilight group. Let's get that team on the board. Dorado Gaming White with Ariana, Dardoch, Aojun, Sushi, and Bounty. So most of you probably know like 4 out of 5 of these names. I think Ariana and Aojun, 2 solo laners that really came into their own here in 2025, obviously on different iterations of CCG, by the way. Or no, wait, no, Ariana never played for, but I think this is still a really cool organization that, like, similar to what we saw from Dorado in the NACL when they promoted in. Like, this is an org very, very comfortable taking chances on some players and making sure that some players that are still on the newer side get the reps in. And so I do think that that's what they're doing for Bounty. So really excited to see how he meshes with Sushi. Simultaneously, though, that is like one of my only worries about this team because Sushi is still very raw and still very new, and Bounty is probably in a similar boat. You don't really have like a defined veteran here in the bot lane, which is something that I think a lot of teams have gotten used to in terms of trying to set that dynamic in that lane. So it's really going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be on Dardoch, right? We've seen Dardoch captain many ships in the past with a lot of young talent, including Aojun. And so I think the onus will be on him to really be that guy, right? Yeah, Sushi as well. You're right.
And Sushi.
Yeah, Sushi as well. You're right. All right. We got one more team left here, and it is from an organization that we have already talked about. The
Yeah, so it's a cool little reunion for Dardoch and some of the homies. He Samick, and you are correct. Bounty has played tier 2 over in Brazil. I think it's Brazil. Um, but yeah, so excited to have him joining us. I think he had a really solid split with Weber last split too. So excited to see him coming on over and representing the Americas. And now Dardoch rejoining some of the homies here as well. I think we talked to Dardoch on the podcast a little bit earlier this year, and it was very, very cool to hear him talk about how much he enjoyed playing with Aojun, and he had a very high opinion of playing with Sushi as well. So it's cool to have him,
Mhm.
kind of get some of his rookies back and see how they're going to be able to do, rounding out with Ariana and Bounty as new faces to us, but players who are experienced playing at the tier 2 level in other regions. Definitely going to make this an exciting roster, and filled with players that I think definitely can compete at this highest level. Right, Aojun has won an ACL here before with CCG. Dardoch has won an ACL before with Mirage as support. So a couple of former ACL champs joining us will be fun to see if they can do it a second time, if they can join the elite ranks of Levitate and Sudsy.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all the teams that we got here. You can see them right now.
The
All
mids of
right.
Twilight go so hard, dude.
Yeah, I mean Demacia and trying to think. Like I would say the group of death is probably Demacia, but I think that Twilight is not too far behind. I would
I think Ionia deserves a bit of a shout out too. Like I think
I,
Maryville are the favorites pretty heavily, but I think beyond that, like I think Cupid, Deathmark, and Kiwi, like you could make a case to put those teams in any order.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think it's probably goes like Demacia, Ionia, Twilight, Noxus. I would say Noxus like very clearly has the top two. Weber
Yeah.
can probably crack that top two, and maybe like get like a surprise series upset win over Dorado, but I would not favor it to happen. Still though, I think that lesson learned, this is just a stacked as hell ACL. Like all of these teams have players that have participated in like at least tier 3. And so I think that this is going to be a really fun couple of months, everybody. I really hope to see you all there and tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure to check out the sheet. It's fully updated, as Duan shouted out in the chat earlier. Schedule is set, so you can go find out your schedule right now. First games are on Friday, so get excited. We will determine what the stream match will be and announce that to y'all as soon as we can. We encourage everybody to stream on their own as well. Co-stream our stream if you want. You are welcome to do that. Set up your own streams. That is also fine. Put them in the little ACL streams channel we have. We'd love to hear about it and share it wherever we can. Getting as much footage out there as possible. Always great. Helping out with content and everything throughout the split. So, yeah, want to encourage that at every opportunity we get. And yeah, I mean that's going to be a banger split, everybody. I'm very excited. So, as always, reach out in the Aegis Discord if you need anything. Open tickets if you need, more help on the administrative front. Reach out to me, Quacks, TDS, anybody if you have anything on the broadcast front or want to clear up anything that you think we're getting wrong. And let's have an awesome split.